a little girl's kind heart. The evening air was soft and warm as golden lights twinkled overhead like scattered stars. The outdoor restaurant buzzed with gentle conversation and the soft clinking of glasses. James Richardson adjusted his navy suit jacket and smiled down at his daughter, Emma, who was sitting perfectly still in her chair, her pink tulle dress making her look like a little princess. At 5 years old, Emma had inherited her late mother's gentle heart and her father's observant green eyes. Tonight was special. James had promised her a fancy dinner at her favorite restaurant, complete with real wine glasses for the grown-ups and sparkling apple cider for her daddy. "This place is so pretty," Emma whispered, her blonde curls catching the warm light from the string bulbs above. Her small hands were folded neatly in her lap, the way James had taught her for special occasions. "It is beautiful, sweetheart," James replied, his voice carrying the weight of a man who had learned to be both mother and father. "Just like you in that dress Grandma bought you." The waiter had just brought their meals. James's grilled salmon sat untouched as he watched Emma carefully cut her chicken into tiny pieces, her tongue poking out slightly in concentration. These moments were precious to him. Since losing his wife 3 years ago, every dinner together felt like a small miracle. The restaurant was the kind of place where business deals were made and anniversaries celebrated. Soft jazz music floated through the air, mixing with the gentle hum of conversation from other tables. James had worked hard to build his company from the ground up, and now, at 30, he could afford these special moments with his daughter. But tonight would be different from what he had planned. As Emma took a small bite of her chicken, her eyes wandered around the restaurant. She loved watching people, always curious about their stories. Her gaze stopped at a young woman sitting alone on the floor near their table, her back against the restaurant's low stone wall. The woman appeared to be in her early 20s, with shoulder-length blonde hair that needed washing and clothes that had seen better days. She wore a gray cardigan over a simple dress, and her shoes looked worn from walking. Most importantly, she looked hungry. Emma set down her fork and studied the woman with the serious expression she wore when trying to solve a puzzle. The woman's eyes were tired, and she kept glancing at the plates of food on nearby tables with a longing that made Emma's little heart ache. "Daddy," Emma whispered, tugging gently on James's sleeve. "Yes, sweetheart." James looked down from his phone, where he had been quickly checking an important email. Emma pointed discreetly toward the woman. "That lady over there, She looks hungry. She keeps looking at everyone's food." James followed his daughter's gaze and saw the young woman. She was clearly homeless, probably hoping for leftover food or spare change from the restaurant's wealthy patrons. Most people seemed to be pretending not to notice her daddy. "She looks really hungry," Emma repeated, her voice filled with concern. "Can I share my food with her?" James felt his heart squeeze. This was so like Emma, always noticing when others were hurting. But he hesitated. The restaurant was upscale, and he wasn't sure how management would feel about his daughter giving food to someone they might consider a disruption to their atmosphere. "Sweetheart, that's very kind of you to think of her," James said carefully. "But maybe we should ask the restaurant if that's okay first." Emma's eyes grew wide with urgency. "But Daddy, what if she's really hungry? What if she hasn't eaten all day? Mommy always said we should help people when they need it." The mention of his late wife Sarah hit James like it always did. Sarah had indeed taught Emma about kindness and compassion. She would have been proud of their daughter's generous heart. James looked again at the young woman. She couldn't be much older than Sarah had been when they first met. Something about her reminded him of his wife's gentle nature and the way she had always seen the best in people. "You know what, Emma? You're absolutely right. Let's go talk to her." Emma's face lit up like the string lights above them. She carefully slid down from her chair, smoothed her pink dress, and walked purposefully toward the woman, with James close behind. "Excuse me," Emma said politely. The way she had been taught to address adults, the young woman looked up, startled. Up close, James could see that she was probably around 24 with kind blue eyes that held both sadness and surprise. Her name tag, barely visible under her cardigan, read Sophie. "Hi there," Sophie said softly, clearly uncertain why a little girl in a fancy dress was approaching her. "My name is Emma, and this is my daddy, James," Emma announced with the confidence of a child who had never learned to be afraid of strangers. "We're having dinner, and I noticed you looked hungry. Would you like to share my chicken? It's really good, and I got extra sauce." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. She looked up at James, who was now kneeling beside his daughter. "I couldn't," Sophie stammered. "That's very sweet of you, but... please," Emma insisted, reaching out to gently touch Sophie's hand. "My mummy is in heaven now, but she always told me that food tastes better when you share it with someone nice." James felt his throat tighten. He looked at Sophie and saw something familiar in her eyes, the same kind of strength his wife had possessed, the kind that helped people survive difficult times with grace. "Actually," James said, his voice gentle but firm, "would you like to join us for dinner? I mean, really join us, at our table?" Sophie's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh, I couldn't possibly. I don't want to intrude on your evening with your daughter." "You wouldn't be intruding," James said, standing and offering his hand to help Sophie up. "Emma's right. Food does taste better when shared with someone nice, and I have a feeling you're very nice." Emma clapped her hands together. Yes, please come eat with us. Daddy ordered way too much food anyway, and I want to hear about your name tag. Do you work somewhere? As Sophie stood, brushing off her dress, she smiled for the first time that evening. I used to work at the bookstore downtown, but it closed last month. I'm between jobs right now. Well then, James said, guiding both Sophie and Emma back to their table. Maybe tonight is a good night for new beginnings. Emma, can you help Sophie choose what she'd like from the menu? The three of them sat down together, Emma chattering excitedly about the restaurant and asking Sophie questions about her favorite books. James watched his daughter's face glow with happiness as she shared her chicken, and made their unexpected guest laugh later. As the evening wound down and the lights grew even more magical overhead, James realized that Emma had taught him something important. Sometimes the most beautiful moments come from the simplest acts of kindness, and sometimes a little girl's generous heart can change everything.